At 78, I sat quietly at my own birthday dinner, listening as my family decided what to do with me, as if I wasn't even there. The restaurant was warm, glowing with soft golden lights and the kind of music that makes everything feel more expensive than it is. My granddaughter Lily had chosen the place. She said it was perfect for memories. I remember thinking that was a strange way to describe a restaurant, like she already knew this night would matter. I smiled anyway, because that's what I've always done. My name is Eleanor Whitmore. I've lived a long life, long enough to understand that silence can sometimes say more than words, long enough to know when people are pretending, and long enough to recognize the moment when you become inconvenient. They sat around me, my son Daniel, his wife Caroline, and Lily, laughing, ordering wine, talking about things that didn't include me. First, I thought they were just distracted. People get busy. Lives move fast. I understand that. But then Daniel leaned forward, lowering his voice just enough to seem private, but not enough that I couldn't hear. "We need to be realistic," he said. "She can't live alone much longer." Caroline nodded immediately. "Too quickly." "I've been saying that," she replied. "It's not safe. What if she falls? What if something happens and no one's there?" I sat there, hands folded in my lap, staring at the candle flickering in front of me. 78 years old. And suddenly I was a what if. Lily hesitated. "Grandma's still doing fine," she said softly. Caroline gave a tight smile. "Sweetheart, fine isn't the same as independent. We have to think long-term." Long-term. Such a heavy phrase, especially when people start using it about you instead of with you. Daniel sighed. "There's a facility not far from us. It's nice, clean, structured. She'd have people around her." A facility. I had spent 43 years in the same home. I had raised Daniel there. I had buried my husband after 40 years of marriage and learned how to keep going in that house. Alone but not lonely. And now they were discussing moving me out of it like I was furniture. Still I said nothing, because I wanted to hear how far they would go. Caroline picked up her glass, swirling the wine like she was thinking through a business decision. "We'd have to sell the house, of course. That would cover the costs easily." There it was. Not concern. Not care. Convenience. Daniel didn't respond right away. He looked uncomfortable, but not enough to stop her. "It's probably the smartest move," he admitted. Smartest. I felt something shift inside me. Not anger, not yet. Something colder. Something clearer. Lily looked at me then, really looked. "Grandma, how do you feel about all this?" Finally. A question. 3 pairs of eyes turned toward me. Waiting. Expecting something small, something agreeable. Something easy. I smiled. "Oh, I think it's a wonderful idea," I said calmly. Caroline blinked, clearly surprised. Daniel looked relieved, almost grateful. "Really?" he asked. "Of course," I said, lifting my glass slightly. "At my age, one has to be practical." They relaxed immediately. The tension disappeared like it had never been there. And that's when I knew. They hadn't been worried about me. They had been worried about resistance. Dinner continued, lighter now. They laughed more. Ordered dessert. Made plans that included timelines, paperwork, arrangements. All decided in front of me, as if my agreement had solved everything. I let them talk. I let them believe. Because sometimes, the truth is more powerful when it waits. 3 weeks later, Daniel stood in my living room holding a folder. "I spoke with a realtor," he said. "She thinks we can get a great price for the house. The market's strong right now." I nodded, sitting in my favorite chair by the window. "That's good," Caroline walked through the hallway, glancing at the walls like she was already imagining them empty. "We should start sorting things," she said. "Decide what you're taking and what we'll donate." "We." That word again. Lily stood near the door, quiet, watching everything. She hadn't said much since that dinner. "Actually," I said gently, "there's something I need to show you first." Daniel looked up. "What is it?" I reached for the small wooden box on the table beside me. It was old oak, worn smooth with time. My husband had given it to me decades ago. Inside were papers. Important ones. I handed the box to Daniel. "Go ahead," I said. He opened it, flipping through the documents. At first, his expression was neutral. Then it changed. confusion, then disbelief. "What is this?" he asked. Caroline stepped closer, trying to see. "What's wrong?" Daniel looked up at me, his voice quieter now. "The house. It's not in your name." I shook my head. "No," I said. "It hasn't been for years." Caroline frowned. "Then whose name is it in?" I folded my hands again, calm as ever. "A trust," I replied. "One that was set up 12 years ago." Daniel's face went pale. "A trust? For what?" "For exactly this situation," I said. Silence filled the room. Lily stepped forward slightly, her eyes wide. "What does that mean?" she asked. "It means," I said, meeting Daniel's gaze, "that the house cannot be sold without the approval of the trustee." Caroline crossed her arms. "And who is the trustee?" I smiled, soft but steady. "I am," I said. "For as long as I am alive and mentally capable, which, as my doctor confirmed last week, I absolutely am." Daniel blinked. You plan this?" I didn't raise my voice. "I didn't need to. I prepared," I corrected. Caroline's tone sharpened. "Why would you do something like that without telling us?" I tilted my head slightly. "Because," I said, "I wanted to see who would ask and who would decide." No one spoke. The truth has a way of quieting a room. Daniel ran a hand through his hair. "Mom, we were just trying to help." "Were you?" I asked gently. He hesitated, and that hesitation said everything. I stood slowly, steady on my feet, stronger than they had assumed. "I am not against help," I continued. "But help is offered, not arranged behind someone's back." Caroline looked away. Lily, however, didn't. She stepped closer to me, her voice soft. "Grandma, are you staying here?" I smiled at her. "Yes," I said. "I am." Daniel exhaled, the weight of the moment finally settling on him. "We didn't mean to make you feel pushed out." I nodded. "I know," I said. "But intention doesn't erase impact." Another silence. This one different. Heavier. Real. I walked to the window, looking out at the garden I had tended for years. Roses were beginning to bloom, right on time as they always did. "Here's what will happen," I said calmly. "I will remain in my home. If I ever decide I need assistance, I will choose it. Not you." Daniel nodded slowly. Caroline said nothing. Lily reached for my hand, and in that moment everything became clear. Not just to them, but to me. Because strength doesn't always come from fighting. Sometimes it comes from waiting, from watching, from knowing exactly when to speak, and when silence will do the work for you. I turned back to them, my voice steady, my posture unshaken. "I may be 78, I said, "but I am not finished living my life on my own terms." And for the first time that day, no one tried to argue.